What do you say, Sidewinders? Welcome back to another video. We are here at another great custom world finals here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we've got 16 trucks and drivers and a defending champion coming back after a slop fest in Oakland last time out. This should be a good competition. Our first competitor, legendary truck and driver in that Chevy Nomad. Please welcome Mr. Excitement, Jim Kohler in Avenger. Next truck out, a legendary Ford and a legendary driver, going back to an older piece from the legendary team. Andy Brass in Bigfoot. Next truck out, another legendary Ford and a great driver on his newer style and newer chassis. Michael Waters in Black Stallion. Next truck out, another big powerful Ford. Huge horsepower in this one from the 2 Extreme camp. Sponsored by Checker Chuck's... Say that real fast. Checker Chuck's Cragen. Jimmy Creighton in the Bounty Hunter. Next truck out is a legendary Marvel Comics Chevrolet and a World Finals champion driver. Brian Barthel in Wolverine. Next truck out, another classic Ford and a great driver that always carries his home state with him wherever he goes. Robbie Gray in the West Virginia Mountaineer. Next truck out, our first look at this one, representing one of the most famous villains of all time. Even people that don't know much about Star Wars know who this guy is. Please welcome James Earl Jones in Vader. Next truck out, another Marvel Comics superhero. This one is from the World Finals 14 Encore, with a great driver behind the wheel. Carl Van Horn in Hulk. Next truck out, the Punk is back with his design from 2014. The pre-Great Clips version of this truck, and he gets a wild ride. As always, George Bellhan in the Mohawk Warrior. Next truck out is another classic Ford. A great driver that's been around for a long time. Looking to do a little better out here today. Robert Fisher in the Liquidator. Next truck out is the steamrolling locomotive that has been with us quite a few times here. Looking to finally get in the winner's circle. Pete Robbins in the Crazy Train. Next truck out is a legendary driver on a custom design, running a Ford body today with the Metal Militia flag. And he has a wild ride, and he saves it. Scott Stevens in King Crunch. Next truck out, a legendary driver that is bringing out another very cool machine. The close cousin to Spitfire, Gary Porter in Dragon's Breath. Next truck out, another member of Team Bigfoot, and a legendary driver behind the wheel of this one as well. Dan Runte in Bigfoot T-Rex. Next truck out, another legendary Chevrolet from back in the 80s when Chevy was called the heartbeat of America. I've always said Chevy's the heartbeat of America and GMC's the brain. Marvin Smith in Stomper. And last but not least is our defending champion. Again, where's that flag gone to? I don't know, nobody knows. But nonetheless, a great looking Marvel Comics machine and a great driver behind the wheel looking to defend the title. Bari Musawwir in the Black Panther. Round 1 now, George Bellhand in the Mohawk Warrior and Jim Kohler in Avenger. We go down a straight stretch here around a tight turn and then in between two containers that you will sail over for the finish. Jim Kohler in Avenger has the lead here, trying to get back to another finals. As he comes around the final turn, George Bellhand has had some bad luck in these competitions, trying to make up some ground against Kohler. Kohler noses it up Bellhand, and Bellhand might have passed him at the line. Unbelievable, and he did. George Bellhand gets the win. Wow. Up next, Robert Fisher in the Liquidator and Andy Brass in Bigfoot Ford. Big powerful Fords, and the power's demonstrated right there. Andy Brass stands it up on the back wheels off the line. These two have faced off before. They always have pretty good races. And they are pretty even coming to the final turn. Brass goes a little wide, has a little trouble getting wound up. Robert Fisher on the gas. Nobody's been able to clear that ramp so far. And Robert Fisher in the Liquidator crosses first and gets the win. Up next, Pete Robbins in the Crazy Train and Michael Vaughters in Black Stallion. Great trucks and drivers. Here they come around the first turn. Michael Vaughters glides through Pete Robbins. A little slower through the turn, but he's still rolling. But Michael Vaughters in Black Stallion is having a good run, and he has the lead as he is going to sail over the containers. And I'm not sure if anybody's going to be able to clear those. Oh, wheel comes off of the Crazy Train, but he still gets across the line. But Michael Vaughters in Black Stallion wins it. Up next, Scott Stevens and King Crunch and Jimmy Creighton in the Bounty Hunter. Legendary drivers and two big Fords battling it out here. They both get through the first turn very nicely. We got a pretty even race. These two know their way around a racetrack. Scott Stevens had to get hard on the brakes there in that turn. Here they come to the line over the final jump. And that big 2 extreme horsepower in Bounty Hunter pays off as he's the first one to clear it. And Jimmy Creighton in the Bounty Hunter wins it. Up next, Gary Porter in the Dragon's Breath going up against Brian Barthel in Wolverine. Great trucks and drivers battling it out here. Brian Barthel, a World Finals champion. Gary Porter has been to the World Finals many times in Spider-Man, I believe. Brian Barthel has the lead. Gary Porter bobbled a little bit around the turns. And Brian Barthel in Wolverine is having a good run as he bounces up in the air, wheels up, and he just about let Porter make up the ground and pass him, but it looks like Brian Barthel held on to win and Wolverine. Great run there. Up next, Dan Runte and Bigfoot T-Rex and Robbie Gray in the West Virginia Mountaineer. Another big Ford battle between two great drivers that know their way around the track. It looks like Robbie Gray, the West Virginia Mountaineer, has a slight lead coming to the final turn. Dan Runte a little behind in Bigfoot, but he's right there. Here comes Robbie Gray over the ramp. Up and over goes the Mountaineer. Runte a wild ride as well as he tries to get across the line, and Robbie Gray wins it. Up next, Marvin Smith and Stomper and James Earl Jones and Vader. Our first look at this Star Wars Darth Vader themed monster truck. He's facing the legend Marvin Smith and Stomper that has been around for a long time, but it looks like Vader has the lead. Marvin Smith a little wide in these turns, pedaling it around. And here comes Vader. We still got a pretty good race going. Vader up and over, but he gets across the line in time and gets the win. He's going to have to break out the spare shell, but he's going to round 2. Up next, Bari Musawwir in the Black Panther and Carl Van Horn in Hulk. Marvel Comics superhero battle. Our last matchup for round number 1. Bari Musawwir, our defending champion in the Black Panther. We got a pretty even race. It looks like Carl Van Horn has a slight lead in Hulk coming to the final turn, but we got an even race. These two are both looking smooth. Van Horn bounces up in the air, and he's on the gas still to get it across the line. Man, oh man, that was a good race, but it is Carl Van Horn and Hulk getting the win. Up next, George Bellhand and the Mohawk Warrior and Michael Botters and Black Stallion. First matchup for round number 2. Two drivers that have had their fair share of awesome moments in the World Finals. George Bellhand with that double backflip, and Michael Botters with one of the most underrated freestyles of all time. He done a fantastic job, and we got a great race coming around the final turn as they both sail over and clip the ramp. Bellhand kicks to the side, and it's gonna be Black Stallion. It looks like Michael Botters is going to the semifinals. Up next, Robert Fisher in the Liquidator and Jimmy Cretin in the Bounty Hunter. Big, powerful Fords going at it here in round number 2. Jimmy Cretin was the only driver to clear that final ramp in round number 1, and he's got a lead here. Robert Fisher had a little bit of trouble in that first turn, and he's still having a little trouble. Jimmy Cretin is having a good run in the Bounty Hunter, and he clips it a little bit, but he gets over nicely, and he's going to get the win in round 2. Over goes the Liquidator. Oh my! And Jimmy Cretin moves on. Up next, James Earl Jones and Vader and Brian Barthel and Wolverine. This is a hero versus villain matchup. This should be a good one. These two look very strong in round 1. James Earl Jones goes wide in Vader. Brian Barthel has the lead in Wolverine as he's whipping it around the final turn. Coming to the ramp. Oh, he's a little sideways though. Oh my goodness. Brian Barthel, a costly mistake. The wheel comes off. He's going to back across the line, so he finishes the course. But Vader moves on. Alright, Carl Van Horn and Hulk and Robbie Gray in the West Virginia Mountaineer. Last spot in the semifinals on the line. Hulk, another Marvel Comics superhero. Robbie Gray has been doing very good in these competitions. And we got a pretty even race as they are both coming to the final turn. This final jump's going to be the determining factor between these two. They are pretty much dead even. Van Horn gets a better bounce. Over he goes into the wall. But Carl Van Horn and Hulk does get the win, and he's going to the semis. It's time for the semifinals. James Earl Jones and Vader, and Michael Waters and Black Stallion. Michael Waters has won these events before, I believe, a while back in his 2000 Black Stallion truck. We got a good race going. We will see if he can get past the Bill Invader here, as he's got the lead coming to the final jump. Waters gets some big air, but he bounces up though, and Vader, he flips across the line. Man, oh man, but he passed him. Vader's going to the finals. Up next, Carl Van Horn and Hulk, and Jimmy Creighton and the Bounty Hunter. Last spot in the final round against Vader. Carl Van Horn could make it another hero versus villain matchup, but Jimmy Creighton and the Bounty Hunter has been very fast in these competitions. He's got some big horsepower, and we've got a good race coming around the final turn. And we got a good one as they sail over the ramp. Van Horn a little hung up. Jimmy Creighton on the nose. It's a very close race. It is Jimmy Creighton and the Bounty Hunters going to the finals. The finals are set. James Earl Jones and Vader, and Jimmy Creighton and the Bounty Hunter. James Earl Jones trying to take Vader to the winner's circle in its debut, which is yet to be done, I believe. Jimmy Creighton looking for his second championship. 2 feats that don't happen very often. Here they come to the line. We got an even one as they sail over the final jump. And Jimmy Creighton has done it again as he takes a wild tumble. And it was all to who got the better bounce there, and it was Jimmy Creighton and Bounty Hunter. Vader was right there with him the entire way. Tip your hat to all of these guys for handling this track. It was another tricky one, but Jimmy Creighton in the Bounty Hunter Ford gets another big win to add to his resume. Jimmy Creighton has been in Monster Jam for a very long time, and he needed every single bit of that huge horsepower under the hood of the Bounty Hunter to beat these guys out here today and to get over that last ramp. Congratulations to Jimmy Creighton and the Bounty Hunter. Enjoy the rest of his freestyle celebration. Like and subscribe if you want to. And we will see you next time with some more monster truck action. So long, everybody.